Hello everyone, this is Rita Holmes, independent demonstrator with Stampin Up. I am coming to you to bring you a new technique video this week. I'm just pulling up my iPad so I can make sure that I've got everything in line up for you to be able to see it. Today we're going to be doing the bandana technique, and like I said, I am an independent demonstrator for Stampin Up. I have a group on Tuesdays on Facebook called Stamp Crazy VIP, where I put all of the techniques in a PDF form. I put the directions of how I did it and how I did the card that I'm going to be showing you today. So if you need any of the PDFs on this technique or any technique that I've done, you can go over there, join that group, and print off all these PDFs if you want them. They're free every week with the technique and how to do the card. Also, if you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to help you with anything that you need as far as ordering, or if you would even like to join my team, that would be great. Also, on this video, if you would, just hit this subscribe button if you would like learning videos and stuff. I try to do one every week. And if I can, I'm starting to try to do some other videos. I'm just getting into trying to get my time set up to do all of that with all the other stuff that I do. But anyway, I also have a share button. If you would, just share this video. I would love to be able to show techniques to as many people as I can and get them in the stamping realm with all of us. So anyway, like I said, today is Bandana Style Stamping, and that basically means you take some kind of a scrolly type stamp image, stamp, and then we're going to add these little dots with paint. Everything I use today, of course, is Stampin Up. For the little scrolly thing, I used this from Beauty Abounds, which has been in the catalog a couple years, but it worked great because I don't have too many swirly stamps to choose from. My happy birthday came from the stamp set Here's a Card, which has some great sayings, and then I like the font really well on this birthday, so that's what I used for that. I'm also going to be using the lovely Labels Pick a Punch, where you can make different size tags from 1/2 inch up to 1 inch with 2 different kinds of tops on it. So we'll be using that to make our tag today, along with the stamping blends and the crinkled seam binding ribbon to color and make our bow. I will show you some samples of some other cards. Here's a couple other I did in color, different colors of the bandana. Put a different saying on that. But that's Poppy Parade, and this is Highland Heather. Makes really pretty backgrounds. I did on the inside put a piece of white with the stamp image on the inside of all the cards. I did this ribbon in the Highland Heather light, and I did this in the basic black. So just coloring my ribbons to kind of match my papers. I took this to a different level, and instead of having it look like a bandana, I just did a background with it. I did one kind of masculine, using the Tasteful Touches maybe. Anyway, I used the feather and then a little background stamp that's stamped up in there. I don't know how well you can see the background. It just gives it some dimension. But I also used the champagne paint, and I'll be showing you the paint in just a second. And I used the champagne foil that we have, and then stamped feathers on the inside. So that's a different look with just using the idea of the paint that we have on the bandana card with different stamps. I also did one more I'd like to show you, and it's with the Forever Fern, which is about the most popular stamp set, I think, in our catalog. But I used the Forever Fern, and there again I used champagne paint, and then did the inside, and also used the champagne foil paper. Here is our shimmer paints. They are in our catalog. We have Champagne Mist, I think it's called, yes. And we have Frost White. I will be doing the Frost White on the bandana type card. That's what I used, was the white. So I'll be demonstrating how to use that. So I'm going to set those aside for right now. I'm going to go ahead and bring me in a scrap piece of paper. That is very scrappy looking. I try to get the most use out of my papers here. Okay, I'm going to bring in a piece of Granny Apple Green. I'm going to bring in my stamp from the Beauty Abounds, and the only color of ink we're going to be using today is going to be Tuxedo Black, the Memento. So I'm going to ink my stamp up and get it on my fingers. I can't seem to stamp without getting it on my fingers. I'll be turning my paper, so, because that's just how I try not to get this so uniform looking as far as having them all go the same way and different things like that. So gotta scoot that over since I'm going to stamp off the edge there. Getting ink all over me. Oh well. So there we go, turning the paper. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. This is such a pretty stamp. And there we go, we have our background done. While I've got this stamp out, I'm going to go ahead and take my piece of Whisper White that goes in the center of my card. Right here, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp me an image on here. So I have that done for the inside of my card. Now, to make my tag, I'm going to go ahead, since I stamped that, I'm going to stamp off again. And then I'm going to take this little piece that we're going to make our tag out of, and I'm going to go ahead and just stamp that ever so lightly on there. So we have that. All of our stamping is done except for my happy birthday, and we'll do that after we cut the tag. So that's done with that. Let's set this aside. And now I'm going to show you how to do the dots on this. I'm going to bring my scrap back in just so I don't make too much of a mess with this paint. We're going to use the Frost White, so you want to shake it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have enough paint in the lid part. So I'm just going to pour just a drop or two in there. And I'm going to wipe my hands. I got paint on my fingers. I don't want it on my card, so. And what we're going to use to do our dots is I'm using the stylus, and I'm using the one out of the Simply Scored scoring tool. But any stylus will work. You want to use your smaller end, because when you dip it into the paint, it's going to make that paint just a little bit bigger than the ball here. So especially with this stamp, the big one will be too big. So all you do is dip and get a little bit of paint on there, and I started in the center of my card, and you're just going to put it down 4 times, and you'll see the dots get smaller as you go. We are going to do this all over our card. I do it where, like, I see the curlies. I like to do it there. You can do it on the inside of the curly or the outside. I'll do the outside of this one. The inside of this one. And we're just going to do this and follow And you'll see as you do this that the dots get a little bit smaller each time. It adds a lot of life to your card. It's really not a hard technique to do. And actually, I'm going a little slower than I normally would go, just for the sake of showing it to you guys. Let me turn this around to get this last one. You don't want to try to work over all of your dots because you just may get your hand in them. And I could let you know how I know that. And then I'm just going to take and I'm just going to add 3 dots here and there to kind of make the green not look like so many open spaces. And in some places, if you want, just put like 2, like they just came off of the paper. So there we go. I think that's good enough. And all you do to clean this up is just take a paper towel and just clean that end of your stylus really good. Make sure there's no paint left on it. And I have paint on my bottle, so I'm going to wipe that off real quick because I'm notorious for making messes. Very much so. So I'm actually going to throw that in the garbage. It was pretty messy. Then just take your lid and screw that back on your paint bottle. Save it for next time. You can also take this paint, put it in one of the little spray misters with some alcohol, and then just mist and add some extra spray or shimmer to the front of your card. We're going to lay this to the side. These actually take probably close to an hour to dry. And so we are going to put this one to the side, let it dry, and I have one I already did this morning that we're going to use for our card that we're going to finish making, okay? Let me move that out of the way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my card, which I didn't score them this week. I usually do, but I didn't, so I'm just going to fold that over, take my handy dandy Paper Chef scraper because I love the edge it gives. It gives me such a flat card and I like that. So there's our card. We've got black cardstock that we are going to put this on, and the black is 5 1/4 by 4. That Granny Apple Green is 5 by 3 3/4, and our card is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. You could score it to 4 1/4 and fold, or you can just fold it in half. Makes it a 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 top. I'm going to glue my Technique piece onto my, if I can get it up, there we go. I got it. So I'm going to glue this onto my black cardstock. Since I just did this paint this morning, I don't want to rub it. Okay, and here's my card, and I'm going to decide how I want that. I think it'll look good like that for my top and my bottom. Since you stamped randomly, going different directions, you don't have to worry about which way you're doing everything. So we are going to put this onto the front here. And I love to use my Tombow glue for all of this. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to put my inside in. Okay. And remember, we've already stamped it. It's right here. Again, this one's 5 1/4 by 4 also, that goes on the inside. My glue's running out. I try to get every last drop out of these bottles. But sometimes it's not worth the fight. There's our inside in. Now we're going to make our tag. So I've got this piece, which is 1 inch by 3 1/4. And here's my tag punch. And I'm going to put it into this side. So I'm going to run it in the groove. I flip it over and I make sure that it looks centered on the back, that I didn't move it crooked or anything, so I cut that out. So I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to put the other side in. And see, I got that a little crooked there at the top, so I'm going to straighten it out. And there's my tag with the tag punch. Isn't that cool? I'm going to use my tuxedo black again. I'm going to take Happy Birthday. I'm going to ink it up. And then I am going to stamp it right in the center. I'm going to hold the stamp there a minute because I want that ink to really soak into that cardstock there and give me a good dark image. So there's my good dark image on that. Now the last thing I need to do before we, well, I'm going to go ahead and put my tag on, and then we're going to make our bow. So I'm going to put dimensionals on there, and I put 3. 1 on each end and then 1 in the center, because that'll hold it all up really well. And then I'm just going to decide where I want it, and I think I'm just going to stick it right here. So there's my Happy Birthday on there. I'm going to take a piece of this seam binding ribbon, and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to bring my scrap out again. I'm going to lay my ribbon down. I'm going to take my Stampin' Blends. Just use the side of your brush tip. Make sure you get oh, it wants to stick to my finger. Let's get this last part. And some of it might look darker and some of it lighter, but when it dries pretty even. It dries really fast, especially on this crinkled ribbon, because it's really thin. So it pretty well dries as you do it. Let's move the nasty paper out of the way. Now I'm just going to make a bow. I used to teach bow making classes years and years ago, because in my background of the craft and stamping world, I worked at an independent craft business for 25 years or thereabout. It was a 7,000 square foot store, so it was huge. We had lots of crafts. We sold everything in there. And so I've done every kind of craft known to man, just about. But stamping gives me, my ribbon wanted to crinkle right there, so I was trying to get it to work. Okay, So I have done lots of crafts, but stamping gives me instant gratification. I don't have to wait on the results as fast with like some of the other crafts that you do. Okay, I'm going to stick my bow on here. I used 2 glue dots just because I like glue dots to really hold it down. And then I'm going to take and trim my ribbon. And there's my card. And that is that technique. Very simple, very easy. Like I said, you can use craft paint. You don't have to use the shimmer paint if you have craft paints. By all means, go ahead and use it. I was just trying to use what Stampin' Up! Had to offer and show some of the different stuff. And these paints, I think, get kind of left behind because you don't see a lot being done with them. So just wanted to break those out and give those to you. And again, I'm going to show you my cards. There's the 3 bandana cards next to each other. And I just encourage, I'm going to try this with different colors. I thought this would be really, really cute. Maybe put different sayings on each one of them. Do like 4 in a series with envelopes. Tie them with a ribbon. Would make a great little gift. A thank you gift. Something to go with a birthday. Anything like that. It would be really, really good. So anyway, that's the 3 bandana style. And then here's the other 2 that I did. Just using regular stamps. And that weren't real scrolly. And added the dots in the same way to highlight the stamping on there. And just wanted to show how versatile it was. When you hear bandana, you don't have to think it has to look like a bandana, because this shows you that you can do them different ways. So anyway, that's the technique, ladies. I hope or gentlemen, whoever's in here watching, I hope that you give it a try. It's a fun technique to do. If you have any questions or anything, you can comment below and I'll hopefully be able to answer those for you. And I will see you again with another video soon. Have a great day. Bye.